Hello, my name is Dr. James R. Golding, and you're watching A Natural Healthcare Alternative, the program dedicated to your health, longevity, and well-being. The topic for tonight is called Skills with People. And the reason why we're doing this topic tonight is that I'm finding that people are lacking the basic communication skills, and as a result are making themselves and their lives much more unhappy. Now, these basic skills of communication and consideration towards people is something that should be learned from inception, and we should have a grasp very early on in life from the time that we're children. But I'm finding out that a lot of people haven't learned that lesson and have to learn it for the first time as adults. So we're going to go here today with some very basic communication skills that if you follow these out, I guarantee that your life will be much more happy and healthier than it is currently. If you know all of this, I want you to listen to it anyway, because I want you to reaffirm what you already know as the correct behavioral pattern upon which you should communicate with other people. Now, before I begin our lesson here tonight, what I want to go over is two mantras, and these mantras are sayings that you're going to repeat 3 times a day for the next month until we meet back here in a month from now. And the first saying goes like this: opportunity favors the prepared mind. Opportunity favors the prepared mind. You're going to repeat that to yourself daily. And not only that, you're going to make sure that your children know that and can repeat that. Opportunity favors the prepared mind. The other thing that I want you to, the other mantra that I want you to come across, that I just heard the other day, and it was kind of cute, so I said it. It is that the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I want you to remember that and repeat that too, and make sure that your kids know that, so that they realize that the opportunities availed to them are not coming out from some cosmic outside world that is bestowed on just a few people. It is coming from what you generate from within you, and the harder you work, the luckier you're going to become. Please keep that in mind. I'm dedicating today's show to Ferris Bueller. And the show is if you haven't seen the movie, I want you to go out and rent that movie. It's called Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Matthew Broderick stars in the movie. It's a cute comedy about a boy who is in high school. He's in his latter phases of high school, and he has this unique opportunity to be able to communicate with young people, old people, and diverse communities in his high school and throughout the environment. And it's a comedy, and it's really funny, but it also has a tremendous lesson in it that if you haven't seen it, it's one of my favorite movies, and I want you to get it tonight. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Okay, let's start our little mini seminar right now. First of all, people are self-centered. People are interested in themselves and not so much interested in you. In fact, people are 10,000 times more interested in themselves than they are interested in you. So if you want to start a conversation with someone, or you're looking to initiate a dialogue with someone, find out what that person is interested in. From there, once you know that, and you start an open conversation, it is one that that person is just willing to talk about, likes to talk about, and is open to talk about. And believe it or not, you can learn something from everyone. If someone comes up to me, now you may think that people are self-centered and that's a negative thing. It's not really negative, it's just the way that people are. Now, if somebody I don't know and comes up to me and talks about fishing, oh, how's the fishing? How's this going? I'll go on for about an hour and a half. By the time I get done, that person is going to be my best friend, because it is something that I like to talk about, and it's a great conversation breaker. I was watching Friends on TV with my daughter the other day, and they had an episode on Friends where one of the characters was hooked up with another one of the girl's boyfriends, and they had to spend 3 hours together while the girls were going out for pizza or something like that. And these guys sat there because they didn't have anything in common, and the conversation and the tension in the air, which was part of what the comedy was about, was so thick that I felt like jumping into the TV and say, well, why don't you just ask them, what do you like to do? What interests you? And that in and of itself is enough to make it so that we initiate good, healthy conversation. Remember that. Remember that. What interests you? The secondary thing that you have to get out of your mind and the way that you are, because we're self-centered, is that you have to stop using things like I, me, mine, I'm this, I did this, me. When you communicate with others, you should be thinking in terms of you. What do you like to do? What do you think of this? You don't need to communicate with yourself on things that you already know. You don't need to kind of try to make yourself feel good and boast yourself up and boast the way that people see you. It's not necessary. People will see you for what you are in time. Very important to recognize that. Eliminate the me, I, me, and mine, and replace that with you, because you're looking to expand and get outside of yourself. I can't overstate how important it is to become and be a good listener. If you want people to listen to you, you had better listen to them. And even if it's something that truly is of no major interest to you, look interested. Look at someone when they're talking to you. Engage in conversation with them. Ask them questions, because you don't know everything. You may think you do at times, but you don't know everything. And it's good to learn a little bit more about things that you don't already know. Being a good listener is much more important in communication than being a good talker. So please keep that in mind. Listen intently, care, because people know when you care. It's also very important that you make eye contact. If you're going to make eye contact, make eye contact. Another thing, when you're meeting someone and you're going to get a handshake, don't be given a limp handshake. You want to make a handshake, you get good contact in there, and you make a good sturdy handshake when you're going to talk to someone. It means that you care. It's not one of these limpy things like, oh, hey, how you doing? Yeah. Caring is caring, and you got to care, and you got to show it, and you got to feel it, and you got to have a passion for it. So please make that happen. Some people have difficulty in giving compliments or saying nice things about other people. If you do, get over it. If somebody deserves a compliment because they've done something good, don't over-compliment, be so complimentary all the time that you're this, you're that, this. That's false, and that's not good feeling. But when someone does something good, compliment them. And when you do compliment them, mean it. Don't just say, oh, good job, hey, this, that. Say what it is exactly. Oh, that was a wonderful game that you played. That was good. It was really great in the way you did that hand. Or this, you look very good, and those colors that you're wearing on that dress, they really compliment you very well. It means that you care. And if you're going to give a compliment, make it care. When talking to someone, and they've just imparted to you something that's important to them, pause for a moment and then talk and give your response into what they've already told you. Now, the reason for that is that if a person just gets done saying something, and right at the end of that sentence, you're like right there, you're ready to say, this is what I think. Well, that's what you think, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have taken into consideration what that other person thinks, what the feelings of that individual were, how they are relating to the impact of your input into there. If they feel as if you've thought about that, that makes them feel important, because we want a good, meaningful exchange. You don't need to just jump into what you're doing. You know what your opinion is. You don't need to win, okay? It's not necessary to win in that regards, okay? Thank you. Don't be closed-minded when going into conversations. Believe it or not, you're not always right. There are rarely absolutes in life that you're so opinionated on, there's no other way that it could be any other way. And even if you were that way, it's important to allow the way that other people think and the other people feel for you to gain an understanding of their perspective on life. Imagine a life in which, you know, you didn't know the perspectives or the ways in which other people or other cultures or other aspects to the way that things were felt. The other thing that's very important is acknowledge people that are waiting for you. And we all have these circumstances in life. Someone's waiting for you in the car. Someone's waiting for you. Like if someone's waiting for me and they're a new patient, they're out in the waiting room, I'll go out there and say, I realize that you're here. I will be, and it's nice to meet you. I'll be with you in just a few minutes, or if it's going to be 10 minutes, it's going to be about 10 minutes before I'm going to be here. Because it's a common courtesy. It lets that person know that they're important to you and that you recognize that their time is important. Because believe it or not, irregardless of what you have in life, you could be rich, poor, smart, not so smart. Time is a great equalizer. Time is something that we all have a limited quantity of, a limited essence of, and you better use it appropriately and be respectful of others, just like you want other people to be respectful of you. The other thing is that, and some people have a real big problem with this, is that it's very important to admit when you're wrong. When you're wrong, admit it. Say, listen, I was wrong. I'm sorry that that happened. Even if you think you can get away with it, it's not worth it. It's best to just come clean and admit when you were wrong, or admit that you made a mistake, and move forward from that. If you were really wrong and there's some types of writings that need to be made with people, go ahead and make your peace with them and do it. Stand up. Be a strong person in that regards, and people will respect you for that, even though that you were wrong. To go ahead and just admonish the fact that gloss over something like it didn't happen or it doesn't happen that way. So when you're wrong, admit it. And if you have a problem with that, you have a problem with it and come to grips with it. Now, when you're talking to someone, look directly at the person you're talking to. Don't be looking around, trying to find pennies on the ground or looking disinterested. Lean towards the person that you're talking to. That doesn't mean you're going to get in their face, but that doesn't mean you're going to back away either. If you can't hear, listen, and listen intently to what they have to say. Ask questions about what they're talking about. Stick to the speaker's subject. Like if somebody's talking about something to you and it's important to them, don't say, and what about those Mets? In the middle of them talking about something that's heartfelt conversation or an emotionally based topic. You have to stay focused. Stay focused, because if you can be with it for 95% of the time, but if you drop the ball by talking for something out in left field, I'm talking about something that's important. So please keep that in mind. People tend to respond strongly in kind to the behavior that other people mirror at them. If you come in and you're aggressive like this and you're going like this at somebody like this, what do you think that the result of something like that, of that type of confrontation or communication is going to be? That person's going to be mirroring you like this. If you're calm, cool as a cucumber, collected, peaceful, tranquil, it allows for open dialogue, open communication, and a more meaningful exchange, even when it's a situation where you may be heated or you may be upset over something. Criticism should always be made in private. Don't be going around making some, if you are unhappy with something, making some mass criticism somewhere. Keep your criticisms not necessarily to yourself, but you better think about where you're going to put those criticisms before you make that into an open thing. When meeting one or more persons, or you're in a group together, it is very, very good for you to first of all, get to know everyone in the group, know who they are, and if someone's new to a group, ingratiate that person into a group. Nobody likes to feel like they're the odd person out. No one wants to feel as if they're not good about where they are, what they're doing, where they're, being a part of something. You are no different. You are a better person to bring a person into a group or circumstance or social environment or make them feel good about where they're at. How much does that really take? It doesn't take much effort, and it's very, very important for you to do. Now, one thing that's very, very important is that it's important that you remember a person's name. Now, this whole thing of, oh, I'm not very good at names. Well, to tell you the truth, that doesn't fly, and you had better change that. And some people are not good at remembering names, or they get stifled or stymied. So I'm going to tell you how to correct that. Everybody wants to be known. Everybody wants to know that imagine a world in which everybody knew everybody else's name, but no one could remember your name. It would be pretty uncomfortable and pretty lonely. So everyone wants their name remembered, and if you're in a group where you have to remember 3 or 4 different names, this is the way in which you do it. You're either going to the simple thing is the repeat technique, which doesn't work well for me, but the thing is, in your head, you're going to repeat that person's name over 3 times, and that's going to help you then remember their name. If you didn't get a person's name when they first introduced you, that's the point in which you say, excuse me, I didn't hear your name because it's important for me to get it because I want to remember your name. Nice to meet you, John. Okay? The other thing is very important. It's the association technique. And the association technique is this. Let's say you're introduced to John and he's got red hair. In your head, you think of something, Johnny Walker Red. And that's the way in which you remember that person's name. Now I do that so quickly. Tom with the big nose. Something like that. I do it in such a split instant that I'll take Charmaine Demain with the big from Spain. And that's the way in which I do it. Stay tuned. We're going to interview Michelle Ryberg in just a moment.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American. I'm an American.
I am 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 an American. I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American.
I
am
An American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am American.
I am America.
I'm an American.
I'm an American.
I'm an American.
I am an
I
American.
am an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
Welcome back, and today we have as our guest today Michelle Ryberg, who is a Bridgewater, New Jersey high school senior, a National Honor Society member, one hell of a softball player, and an intern at Somerset County Alternative Medicine, as well as being an all-around great person to help us fill in some issues related to her views in regards to communication and teen issues. Michelle, thank you for coming, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I have a few questions that we're looking to get your opinion on, and what that is, first of all, is that what's your views regarding peer pressure on teens today?
Well, I think that obviously peer pressure is a big issue, especially in high school, because there's a big concern with popularity issues, and people always want to try to fit in and look cool and be like do the cool thing. But I think that in the end, it does come down to like their individual choices and like what they're looking for in life. And if they're looking to do things one way, they'll do that. And if they're looking to do things another way, that's the direction that they're going to be headed in. I think that like peer pressure, obviously, is like really, especially when it concerns drugs and alcohol and everything, is really common in high school. But I do think that it is an individual's choice in the end. And like even if you do have somebody like pressuring you, it's not really, if you go to a party and people ask you things, to do things, it's more your own choice. And if you don't want to do it, like you don't have to do it, and they're not really, people aren't that pushy. It's more the pressure that you're putting on yourself. You want to fit in. Exactly.
Your own internal
it's not
pressure.
an external pressure, somebody telling you do this. It's yourself being, should I do this so I can look great, so I can go
right. So it's
better.
So it's not just a matter of, you're in or you're out. You could be not doing that, but still in the mix and enjoying yourself just like anything else. So a lot of teens do that to themselves, where their feeling is that if they're not doing that or not, they're not going with it, that they're not with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. This whole, part of the reason for having you today was that I had spoken to some patients recently who had moved into the area, and they had teen children that were going into the high school from other high schools. And the kids weren't integrating well. They'd been outside of their normal circles with their friends, and they're thinking about where they used to live, and they don't know anybody here. What's your recommendation that you think would help to ease them or integrate them into their new school?
I think a big thing, like when you're in high school, I don't mean to be stereotypical, but a big thing is being involved in sports or clubs and stuff like that, because you're getting out there, you're getting your face out there, people are recognizing you, and they know you, and it's best when you hang out, you like a sport, you like a certain activity, you hang out with people that like the same thing as you do, you have similar interests. You probably, if you share one interest, you share other interests as well, so you could, you have things to talk about, things to that you can share with each other and all that kind of stuff.
Developing a good common bond.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. The other thing that seems to be a problem that's come to light is that, we're talking about communication, and we're talking about getting good, effective communication with people. If teens don't have effective communication with their parents, what do you think is the issues there, and how could that, in your opinion, be helped? How could that be bridged so that we can more effectively communicate?
Speaking as a child who doesn't communicate well with their parents, but I think that a big thing is parents are judgmental. At least I know that, I don't want to say my parents, but they're off the bat right to, because they have their own mindset, and that's a lot of people when you are faced with an issue. You have your own opinion on it. You want to make your opinion known, but if you listen to what your child has to say, you understand. You have to see it from their point of view, things that they're going through in life. It's easier to understand what's happening, what the situation is, and it's easier to communicate if you understand what they're going through. And it's hard for parents to look at situations from their child's point of view, since they already have their own set defined what they think and all that stuff. But if they just would see what their child sees, they could understand more, and the child would feel more open to communicate. They wouldn't lie. They wouldn't, try to find ways around communicating.
Weaseling.
Exactly. They would be more open, and they would trust their parents more, which would make the parents trust their kids more, and it would just, everything would work out.
So it's almost, so you think there should be, rather than parents just jumping into this parent mode.
Yeah.
This is me as a parent, this is what I should say, and this is the way it's going to be. It should be a little bit more flexible.
Mm-hmm. They can't always look at it. If you always just try to have in mind as a teenager, as a parent, your kid's going to get away with anything, and you can't always have that because you need that discipline. But you do need to be flexible, like you said, to to see things from there, but to be like, but I don't think you should do that. And maybe the child will take to heart, if they think that you're taking to heart what they're saying, they'll take to heart the advice you're going to give them.
I think that's great advice. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and when we were driving over here today, I said, you know, when my son was, you know, I didn't even learn the word popular until I had it I probably was 9 years old and had it in a spelling test, what the meaning of popular was. And you know, at like first grade, they talk about, oh, so and so is so popular, or they're this, or they're in the popular crowd, or they're very popular. You know, what is this whole thing with being popular, or this perception of popularity, and does that put pressures on youths?
I think that, like, it's more of major concern, I think, more in middle school, because people have this mind frame, like they see on movies, a popular crowd, they always have it on TV, and like there's the people who don't like really have that many friends that are like the outcasts or whatever, and then there's like the popular people and everything like that. And but I think that in general, like if you go to a good school, you're gonna have your friends, you're gonna meet people. If you have your friends, there's nothing more you should really worry about. Like being popular is not as important as having true friends and everything like that. The popularity issue is just, you know, it's something that's always going to be there, which is like regrettable, because it's not something that's the most important, because you go on later in life and that becomes so trivial and everything like that. Like popularity means nothing in the end. Like, and I don't even know how you can even judge a person. Like, who decides who's popular and who's not? You know?
Yeah, or where that connotation comes from. Or most popular, or
exactly.
or something like that.
It's not even.
But the reason I make that benchmark is because not that we don't want. I want everyone to be popular. I want everyone to like themselves, and that's the most important thing. And thus be able to like others and have a wide variety of spheres of influences of people around them, because you know what? It's all about people. It's all about people, and it's all about good communication, and that's what it's about tonight. Thank you for viewing. I'm Dr. James R. Golding, and thank you, Michelle, for coming on today.
Thank you.
And that's a good handshake. We'll see you next time. Thank you for viewing.